You are watching the Atlanta Braves Fan Show on Fan Media Network. Hello, everybody. I'm Ryan Siegel, joined alongside with Gardie and Gardie. The calendar is flipped to April. The weather is roughly the same as it was in March and February, but we are back. It is baseball season, one of the best times of the year. America's pastime, a new look, America's pastime, faster games, pitch clock, the shift is gone and gone forever. And we're back talking Braves baseball here, Gardie. It's good to see you again, my friend.
Oh, it's great to be back. Another year, as you said, the sun is starting to shine a little longer. Unfortunately, we lost that hour of sleep, but baseball is back. We get to see Blooper menacing around a stadium again. We get to see Ronald Acuna Jr. We'll talk about it a little later, but what it's like to have a young star like that with a fully healthy ACL in both of his knees. I mean, I'm just happy to be back. I'm happy to be back talking to you.
So let's get right into it here. The Atlanta Braves, first place Atlanta Braves, 13-4 to start the season, four losses, one coming to the Washington Nationals earlier this month, and then dropping 3 of 4 at Truist Park to the Slam Diego Padres in the home opener. But Gardie, again, we're talking about it. Those are your four losses. You sweep the Cardinals in St. Louis, you sweep Cincinnati at home, sweeping the Royals in Kansas City, and then picking up a win last night, 2-0 at the San Diego Padres out there at Petco Park. Gardie, I know we talk about this theme all the time, so I'll let you say this. I'll let you say the theme this time because normally I set you up for it, but I'll let you take a swing.
Yeah, I mean, to take a swing and hopefully connect like Ronald Acuna Jr. has been doing for a 389 batting average this season. The Braves are doing something that we have routinely spent the last two seasons now talking about them not doing early in the season, and that is beating teams in winning series that they should win. They're beating the Cincinnati Reds, they're beating the Royals, they're beating the Cardinals, they're beating these teams that are not strong teams, and they're playing at the level that they should play at rather than playing down. And even though, yeah, they lost 3 out of 4 to the Padres at home in that first series of the season for them in Truist Park. But they are back in Petco Park. They did win the first one. We are recording this at about 9 o'clock Eastern time on the 18th. So they are playing tonight at 9:40 p.m. And I believe that they're going to keep trending the way they should be trending.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more if I said it myself. Yep. Again, Gardie, we've kind of talked about this from multiple standpoints. The Braves, a very young core, a very solidified core now with all of these contract extensions coming out last year. And I know we talked about these on the show last year, so we really don't need to rehash that. But again, looking up and down the lineup here, looking up and down, statistically speaking, everybody who's pretty much an everyday player is hitting 200 or better.
I mean, 200 is a very low bar, personally. I mean, I know it is. You briefly mentioned those rule changes at the beginning, and we'll get into that a little later because I think that is a very hot topic in baseball today. But I mean, you do have guys like Ronald Acuna Jr., Austin Riley, Matt Olson, who are hitting the way that these people who we've paid this much money to, should be hitting. And I mean, you can look at Matt Olson. Matt Olson, 5 home runs, 17 RBIs to start the season. Very young season, but starting well, 299 batting average. I think fact check me if you want, but I'm pretty sure that's above his career batting average. So
It
he's
is.
starting. You're starting strong, and there's a reason why we went with Matt Olson over Freddie Freeman at that first base position. Austin Riley continually, repeatedly showing why he's an all-star third baseman. And I mean, as I said, Ronald Acuna Jr. back fully healthy for the first time from that torn ACL, 389 batting average, 11 home runs, and 72 plate appearances, the most plate appearances for the Braves this season. I mean, I'm just excited.
Yeah, I couldn't be more excited myself either. Again, you mentioned it, nine Braves hitting 250 or better. 9 of them that have played. 9. 4, or sorry, excuse me. 5 of them over 300. You know, you have Orlando Arcia hitting 333, your replacement at shortstop for Dansby Swanson. And again, Dansby having a great season so far as well, hitting 368. No home runs and 5 ribbies for Dansby. But Arcia, again, filling that spot. And I know we talked about this last year with Matt Olson and Freddie Freeman. The guys that they brought in are filling those holes nicely where they missed guys and who are now big money players like Freddie Freeman and Dansby Swanson. But Gardie, I know you've seen it kind of on the first base side. Matt Olson coming into his own and leading the Atlanta Braves right now with 5 home runs in these first 17 games. You know, again, hitting 299. But Gardie, again, we mentioned it, not missing these key pieces to that world championship team 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I think I might butcher his name, but Alex Anthopoulos, the general manager for our Atlanta Braves, I think he's done a phenomenal job of also recognizing young talent when we have it and getting them to sign long-term deals for lower AAV so that we can have this core together. We've seen it across the board. And but to your point, I think they do a great job of recognizing talent and then finding ways to fill holes in other ways, like a Travis d'Arnaud, a catcher who was DFA'd by another major league franchise that then has come on and helped the Braves in a significant manner. So I just like, I'm very excited. I think also the Braves this season with the pieces that they have now, that with some of those more major changes, losing a Freddie Freeman in the offseason last year, a guy who was kind of the leader in the clubhouse. You have a little bit more of a coherent and bonded clubhouse, and then you have a healthy Ronald Acuna Jr. And as we said, they're doing what they need to do to show that they are a World Series caliber team in April.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. But again, Gardie, now kind of pivoting a little bit to those rule changes we talked about. Again, the pitch clock coming into the game now, the shift being banned. We've seen some pitch clock violations. I know Manny Machado out in San Diego seems to not understand the rule. But Gardie, again, let's kind of touch a little bit on those rule changes. Again, 15 seconds for a pitcher when there's nobody on, 20 when they're on base. The hitter has to be ready prior to the 8-second mark. An alert to the pitcher means like ready to swing the bat. And we've already seen pitchers taking advantage of this rule, manipulating when they throw the ball on the pitch clock.
So I think my thing with it is everybody was kind of boohooing it. I mean, as an Nestor Cortez fan myself, I was a little worried about would his tricks disappear, but it's the same time manipulation, just on a different scale. And at the end of the day, I think I mean, I'm very happy about it. I think the bigger bases allow for more steals. I think the amount of times they can throw over. I mean, I think we talked about this last year about how much it bothers me that now it's a thing that every home team boos an away pitcher when they throw over to first base. Like now they can only do it twice. Now, you know, I'm just a fan of it. I think it's specifically the shift. It's just making it more fun. And you know what? To all those, you know, old men yelling at clouds, which is usually me, this new generation who's coming up, who's watching these new rules, is going to have to learn how to play around these new rules. And so that's going to force them to be better hitters. So then maybe we can bring the shift back in a generation. But for the time being, we're making baseball more fun and more approachable again. And that's what we need to do.
And again, currently looking, according to CBS, 1 week into the season, the average time of a baseball game is 2 hours and 38 minutes. 2 hours and 38 minutes. That's a hockey game in many regards. So the average last season of 3 hours and 3 minutes down to 2 hours and 38 minutes. It is the lowest since 1984 with 2 hours and 35 minutes. So Gardie, we're talking about, you know, yeah, we talk about the pitch clock and the shift, but stealing bases is up. The hit and run is up. Throwing over, we're seeing going down because you're not throwing over 19 times.
Yep.
How many times you can call time in an at bat? There are many flagrant offenders in the league at that. It is all in all making the game better. The only place it really seems to be hurting MLB teams is the concession stands. But otherwise, it is quickening the pace of play. And I know we talk about how much of a buffoon Rob Manfred is. He did want to quicken the pace of play, and I think he's finally found something that he's done right.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, first of all, to the concession stands point, you've seen a lot of ball clubs doing the American thing and allowing concession stands to stay open later than the beginning of the seventh inning or mid seventh inning, which was the traditional point. But at the same time, yeah, you're right. I think Rob Manfred has finally figured out a way to make baseball a more approachable sport in the short term without fundamentally ruining what the sport is, and at the same time not also pissing off people who imagine baseball in one specific way. And I think if you look at all the other things like the 3 outs per pitcher, things like that, like those weren't true systemic changes, whereas the changes he now made are.
Couldn't agree more. But looking ahead to next week, again, the Braves finish up 2 games at San Diego before they are home for Houston, home for the Marlins, and then they go up and play the New York Mets up at Citi Field. But we're back on the air here. We want to hear from you, whether at home, on the road, in Truist Park, out of Truist Park. We want to hear from you. Maybe we'll have you on to talk about it. Just maybe. It's year 3 of the show. First year, they won the World Series. They've made the playoffs now in both seasons that we've done the show. Let's see if they can make it 3. Let's see if they can run it back.
Odd numbers, clearly they win on odd numbers here. So if I were a betting man, I'd put a little feature down on it right now.
I couldn't agree more if I said it myself. Take the Braves. Again, thank you for tuning in to this week's and this first episode of the Atlanta Braves Fan Show on Fan Media Network.
To host a fan show or appear as a fan on a fan show, create a profile in Fan Media Network. Then look for the news page in our website and fan show resources page. Help yourself. We give show hosts a show graphic in team colors, a simple short show format, tips on pre and post production, ideas to get fans and guests on your show, Apple News distribution and show sponsorship sales and services to help featured show hosts earn money. Show hosts use our iPhone app to publish their shows. Our website supports Android users.